So there should be select a stream, no current live streams.
So can anyone jump on it now?
Yes. So that should be the idea. So it's but the camera's just facing me, and if people are uncomfortable, they can just say their first name or something. But it should make the experience for people joining online a little bit better. So we've got a camera, and they can join and follow the video, and then chat in the chat, and I should see it. So yeah. So this should be a Harry Verity AI Consultant live stream.
Okay.
So is it live?
Oh, you win it says
Yes.
live now.
Yeah.
Give me a link and I'll give it a try.
Yeah. Do you want to go? Do you just type in Harry Verity AI Consultant on YouTube and see whether it works?
Okay. In YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Just search for that.
Yeah. And then once it's ready, I'll put it in the WhatsApp group and say people can join. Yeah.
This is growing.
Yeah. So yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, view the channel. Live.
Live.
Yeah.
All right.
It's working fine.
Okay.
There is a 10-second delay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to post the link to it in the WhatsApp group and say we're live? Feel free to join in. There should hopefully be a. Is there an ability to type to add comments?
You can add comments in the live stream?
Yeah, in the live. Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it turned on, David?
I get the link for this.
Yeah. Can you see if you can type comments first before we set it out so people can.
Share, here we go. I assume this will be the button I need. It's running a bit sluggish.
Yeah.
Yeah, copy link. Okay, I can put the link in.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah.
Before I go crazy. I'll shut down YouTube.
Is there a copy here?
Sorry.
Alan, is copy today?
He just dropped me a message and then deleted it. So I'm just asked Fanny, is he all good? Is he coming? Yeah. I need to. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it works.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
And you can comment as well.
I'll do it like a
Yeah.
everyone.
Hello. It's Chris.
How are you?
Good to see you. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
I want to meet you.
Yeah.
I saw you so many times in the videos, man.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name? Tony.
Oh, perfect. Good to hear, Sean.
So many times I saw you.
Yeah.
So funny.
I remember, I met
He's
his,
really
he was still here, but I then saw some of his video online and it was, where did I meet these guys? I met him somewhere, so I remember I met him here. But I mean, you have like really good stuff. I mean,
Was it must have been years ago that you watched, right?
I don't know, I mean, it's like,
Because that's the what I hear these days is, oh, I used to watch you 5, 8 years ago, not like now, you know.
So you finally back again to Bali.
Yeah.
You have more
Yeah, I went to Brazil.
Hello.
South
Yeah.
Africa,
Feel free to join.
Peru and Paraguay. Yeah, too long, 5 months.
We brought our own phone, so yeah.
Yeah, so I'm based here now since
Yeah.
March last year.
Yeah. Do you want to put it in the Be Work group as well? Perfect. Amazing. Yeah. Great. Thank you for telling. Yeah.
It was a long trip for someone that had just moved to Bali.
Yeah. So we'll get going in about 2 minutes or so. We're streaming this one on YouTube. Actually, we're trying a new setup this week. So yeah.
So Harry's gonna be famous.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. For better or for worse. Yeah.
It's like, that was the last recorded video I watched before Google Video took over everything. And
Yeah.
now we only watch AI generated videos.
Perhaps we are just a few weeks away from me being a hologram and wearing the goggles. Yeah.
For problem
Great. So, yeah, welcome everyone who's watching online. We're going to get going in 2 minutes or so to the weekly AI founders meeting. We should have some good people. So there is a delay. There's always a delay on YouTube. If you do it on YouTube Live, they have a 10-second delay. Yeah, I think so that you can't go and murder someone and live stream it, so they can see it and try and step in before you. So yeah. Yeah. Here's Alan. Hello. Good to see you, my man. This is. Do you want to take a seat? Take a seat. Yeah, please. See you. All right. Well, let's make a start, and latecomers can join when they do. All right, we're gonna make a start, everyone. So, thank you all for coming to the weekly AI Founders meeting. We call it the AI Founders meeting. Guys, do you want to just speak to the front so everyone gets to hear the benefit of everything everyone has to say? So this is the weekly AI Founders meeting. We call it AI Founders, but it is for everybody. So we do some news, we do some demos of some really cool stuff that's happening in AI, and we also do some research papers. It's a forum for talking about the technology and all the exciting changes that are happening in the technology, and for demoing cool ideas, and also for hearing what some of the researchers and what some of the developers are doing as well. And it should be a really, really good and hopefully good event. We are streaming this week live on YouTube. So just so everyone's aware, the camera's not facing anyone. So if anyone is uncomfortable, maybe you can say a different name or just say your first name. So I'm Harry. I started life as a tech journalist, writing for The Guardian and for The Decoder, which is a paper that has gets about 1 million views now every month. I've seen it grow, which is really great. I now have a business, AI to the World, which is essentially helping businesses implement AI and understand the technology, train them on AI, and help them, I guess, make more money and be more efficient with AI. So we usually open with a bit of an introduction round. Just an FYI, I do my best to explain all the technology. I do believe we should sort of keep the standard of debate as high as we can, rather than sort of lowering it and trying to keep everybody up. But there are some people here to help me if I fall down on some of the technical difficulties, including our good man Alan here, who is Senior Machine Learning Engineer at Provectus, a very, very smart man indeed. We're looking forward to that. And we might have Mix joining us, who is a genius at the text-to-video models, recently raised $70 million for a startup to rival Hollywood, and he used to work for Google DeepMind, so a man who knows what he is talking about. But if there is anything you don't understand or you want me to explain, just put your hand up, just say, Harry, what the hell are you talking about? And we will try and catch everybody up. So we usually start with a bit of an introduction round. So David, do you want to go first and tell us what you do?
Yeah, sure. My name's David Taylor. I've been in a corporate environment as well. I moved into the corporate environment after writing internet in the 90s, where I had the same desk but a different company. I left in 2016 to start my digital marketing company in Australia. At that point when I left, the company was a top 200 ASX company, so pretty big. I started my digital marketing. Now today I have a team in Indonesia, I have a team in the Philippines. I have my own marketing company. I do some mentorship, leadership, and a bunch of other things. And I'm also working with my good colleague and friend here, Harry, under Age of the World. Yeah.
Do you want to go next?
Hello, my name is Tony, and my background is industrial engineering and robotics. And right now I'm crypto trader, and I'm trying to implement AI for trading bot.
I love that. Crypto and robotics, do they go together with AI? Can we get a robot that knows everything about crypto? Let's see. Alan, I've already given you a little bit of an intro. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're working on these days?
Sure, yeah. I just sold my business, so I'm soon gonna be. I was hoping for retirement, but apparently no. There's like a future journey. Soon to be a CTO of a new startup that is like acquiring us. Currently still chief AI officer at a recruit and senior machine learning engineer at Silicon Valley-based company Provectus. In the past, my startup Linguido that I founded was among the first 300 companies that work with OpenAI during GPT-3 closed beta. So with all of that, I do a lot of cool stuff with AI. I automate food production factory. I build voice and video agents for job interviews, and read all that funky papers.
Love it. And Alan, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your recent acquisition? And I assume it's all official. It's gone through now. Yeah.
Well, I think you know what. I think there will be like one more guest today, and
Okay.
he can probably share more.
I think I can guess who that is. So it's
Hi everyone, my name is Janique. I am currently working on a master's in physics, and my passion is to create a production company on science communication, as well as health and wellness, and utilizing AI filmmaking.
Love it. Yeah, AI filmmaking. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later on, so it should be quite exciting. Do you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Alexia, and I freshly arrived in Bali after working 7 years in London in sales. At the moment, I'm currently working on a special project for hospitality, implementing an AI platform to encourage different background and sales in hospitality.
Chris, the freelancer, who's back again after his voyage around the world.
Yes, I'm Chris. I'm a freelance web developer that works with Shopify websites, and I come to these meetups so that I can keep on top of what AI is doing, so AI doesn't come on top of me, basically, and take my job and everything. So I want to be on the side of AI rather than, the side that's like, against it.
We'll protect you when the robots are coming. Yeah. Lucian, do you want to intro yourself?
I'm a bit messed up today. I've got some infection. So I work mostly on Canada, and right now I'm trying to develop like a better version of Canada. I think it will be finished in 1 month, and maybe you let me do some demo here. So that's all for me. I mean, if you want to talk a little bit about Canada, give it a try.
Yeah, it's really cool, and obviously a big debate amongst the AI community about is NAN still relevant? Is it going to be taken over by the Model Context Protocol? So I think building a competitor to it is really interesting, and it's got a lot of inefficiencies in NAN, even though it is, of course, a really great piece of software. Do you want to go next?
So, hello guys, my name is Manu, and I'm trying to learn as much as possible in terms of AI, because I really would like to shift my present business in sports and science, shift it to the digital environment. So I'm trying to develop my new business in terms of epigenetic and biohacking and everything, this kind of stuff, to help people to take care about their bodies and their minds. So trying to shift as much as I can to the AI and digital environment.
So my name is Mark. My background's in web design. I'm Polish. My biggest thing is meeting all you guys, learning from you. Seeing how we can all build something together and kind of just get inspired with each other. But my biggest thing is trying to figure out a service to build an AI automation. I think that's, early adopters right now, it's huge. So that's, yeah.
Sure, that's great. Alec, do you want to go next? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ash from Manchester.
How are you?
I've been here about a year and a half now. Mechanical engineer, and I'm doing a hardware startup, which is an AC system for the helmet. So when you're in Bali, there's loads of smoke and you're hot and stuff like that. So I'm trying to tackle that issue, and I'm here to learn how AI can help my business.
My name is Dylan. I'm from
love it. Yeah, education is obviously a big theme. I think Claude just put out a special version of their program for universities, actually, and they've got kind of a learning component in it. So but plenty of applications for education in AI. Christian, do you want to go next? Yeah.
So I've been doing YouTube for 10 years now. Started with a GoPro, worked my way up, built a pretty decent following, and then through that went into education. So we teach filmmakers how to tell stories, how to shoot better videos. So my teammates over here,
Another Christian, double trouble.
Pretty excited about what's happening. We think there's a lot here that could be immediately rolled out to, for one, leverage new programs and communities within the creator space, and secondly, to just really help people, because if they don't adopt it, they fall out of the picture.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a big theme, I think, keeping up with AI and understanding it, where it's going. How many followers do you have now? I think like 4.5 million. Yeah, so a lot of followers, yeah.
Yeah. So are you also advanced with YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watch the videos.
Yeah. Do you want to get it?
What's your name?
I am Morris, I'm from Germany. I run and build a Shopify SaaS, like a business intelligence tool for ad tracking and attribution. And competitors of us are like trying to build the AI Shopify studio. So when we are potentially looking into this, so I want to learn about it more.
I'm Lorenzo. I've been here for 23 years. I just started working in my parents' company, Little A, and they're very run old school style. So I'm hoping to learn the basics and how I can make it more efficient using AI and the marketing especially.
Yeah.
My name is Milan. I grew up in Bali, live in London now. Graduated uni 2 years ago. I've worked in private sector sustainability, international development consulting, and now trying to work as a business development consultant, trying to sort of find my career path. But across all the sectors I've worked in, I've always used AI. So trying to see if I can weaponize it.
Hey guys, my name's Lawrence. I'm from Australia. I work for remote.com. It's a global HR platform where you can hire, manage and pay employees anywhere in the world. I'm here like most people just here to learn more about AI. We released an AI recruitment tool last week, which has been blowing up. Basically, you just type in what sort of employee or contractor you're looking for, and you can link to live candidates who are searching for roles. So very excited to learn more.
Super smart, and you definitely got to connect with Alan, who's kind of built something similar and just sold it as well. So connection for you there. Yeah. Yeah.
My name's Ross. I run 2 social media brands with about 2 million followers across all platforms, and I run a content creation agency. And we're basically looking at how to shorten the time from like the idea of the content to the point of posting it.
Oh, great. And are you posting videos or mainly text content or?
Just like short form stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so definitely got something to whet your appetite today. So yeah, should be exciting.
Hi, yeah, I'm Dan. I just started was trying to start a business yesterday, so I'm very early stages. I'm trying to do data cleansing, so I was working at a data company, and apparently like 80% of like data scientists' time is spent on just cleaning the data, and then I realised like AI is so useful that firstly for the actual coding, because it's a lot of just tiny rules of according to the business, but then also doing the manual review of, is like cleaning the data, like convert this to title case or the name format, or like is this a duplicate or something. So I think there's a lot of potential there, so I'm just trying to figure out the right path. And
Yeah, absolutely. So we call it structured data and unstructured data. So pre-AI, you'd have to employ someone to manually sort of go through and change the data. It'd be a huge project, and then these days we can just switch it over to whatever format we need. So it's been a big change in how we actually handle data. So you're dead right. If we don't have good data as well, how are we gonna go forward with make any good decisions with AI? So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Christian, and I work with the other Christian right here.
Yeah.
And I do everything from video editing, I do automations, I also do a little bit of website stuff. And right now we're working hard to try and streamline everything back-end related, and also trying to improve the content production strategy. So yeah, trying to really take advantage of all AI
Yeah, perfect. Flo, do you want to go next? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Flo. I have a mechanical engineering background, and my whole journey in AI started probably 6 months ago here with this meetup. Now I'm working as a journalist and AI engineer, and I just came back from Vegas and attended the Dell World Conference, so pretty exciting stuff happening there.
Yeah, it was great to have your report the other day. And yeah, Flo, you came to this meeting and you met your future employer here, and now you're an AI engineer doing boot camps from other people who've come here as well. So yeah, it's been a really invigorating and exciting experience for you the last 6 months. So happy to have you. Yeah, yeah, to see you grow. Yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Aaron, and I'm a visual effect artist. I do animations and a lot of stuff. This is my 4th month here in Bali. I do internship here, and I also run a YouTube channel, and I make my animation for my own YouTube channel.
What's the channel?
What's the channel?
What's it called?
It's called Quickfold Animation.
Cool. Check it out.
Hello, my name is Damanos. I'm a full stack freelancer, and I'm just visiting Bali to check it out for now. I got here like 2 days ago.
Great. So we've got an eclectic mix of people, which is really good to hear. We've got some YouTubers, some developers, some NAN guys, some machine learning people, and some robotics and crypto. So yeah, hopefully a lot of knowledge here to share. So we're going to go through and talk about a little bit of news, and then later on we're going to demo 2 things which I think are really exciting. First is the ability to actually create a piece of bespoke software for a company at scale. So you can outreach somebody using some of the sales tech tools that we talk about a lot, Clay, and you can actually send them a bespoke piece of software that you've built for them. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how you do that, which is completely crazy, but amazing. And we're also going to look at how you can do YouTube Shorts and basically utilize some of the video models to create essentially YouTube Shorts of you speaking to camera. And we can have a bit of a discussion about, are they really there yet? Is the quality there? And I may well put one out this week on my channel to see how well it does compared to my other videos. But we're going to start with a little bit of news, and we're going to talk about some things that have been happening. One of the first things that's happened this week is an upgrade to Operator. Is everybody familiar with ChatGPT's Operator? Everybody know what it is and what it does? No? Okay. So Operator is essentially like a computer use agent. So it was launched a few months ago, and you could go on and you could say, book me a table at this restaurant, and it would go away and it would visit the website and it would do it for you. When it was first sort of marketed, people were very excited by it, but when it sort of was launched, it was really a little bit lackluster. It couldn't do very much, it kind of hit paywalls, and it didn't really think as coherently as some of the other models did. So it has had an upgrade this week, so we'll talk you through the story. And the main upgrade to it really has been that it's integrated O3. So O3 is obviously the reasoning model, and they've implemented that. So Operator. So let me just share my screen with everybody who's watching online. So OpenAI's Operator agent gets O3 upgrade for more precise browser control. So this is really significant, I think, because obviously O3 is a really powerful reasoning model. We're not just talking about 4R anymore. And it means that it's able to actually think and sort of comprehend stuff as it goes off and it changes things. And it's what we call a computer use agent. So it can navigate websites just like a person, scrolling, clicking, typing text to automate tasks. And it was first introduced in January 2025, so it's been out 5 months now. And it can do sort of basic tasks. So you might ask, what's the difference between this and an AI agent? And that's, of course, one of the questions for it is that why would you go about automating tasks this way when now we've got the Model Context Protocol, the MCP servers, and we've got things like NAN to do more advanced automations. One of the biggest things that it comes up against is, of course, things like captures, things like limitations by websites. Obviously, if the website detects that you're a bot, then it's still going to have issues with that. And I believe when it was launched, there was really only a limited number of sort of applications that it worked with, unless you wanted to let it run freely on the web. This version has been fine-tuned for safer web automation. So we saw 2 weeks ago, I think, Codex come out. Codex being this new reasoning model from OpenAI that was specifically trained on code. It was an O3 that was trained on code. This is similar. They've taken O3 and they've fine-tuned it for a specific use case with additional security data to help it learn when to provide confirmations or refusals. And so despite inheriting O3's coding capabilities, O3 operator doesn't actually have access to the coding environments or the terminal. But obviously it comes with risk. You know, these agents analyze the website content and then they interpret it as instructions, essentially prompts. And so that means, you know, hackers could obviously design these malicious sites to trick these agents into getting unwanted information. So it's a kind of a revolutionary technology, but at the same time, I see that we're not really going down this path. I see the path that we've been going down since this has come out is kind of being MCP, Model Context Protocol, building out tools into your tools, and also building out these sort of automations, these kind of NAN workflows to go off and do things. Has anybody actually had to play around with Operator since they upgraded it? Flo, what do you think of it?
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we did a test and said, go to my Uber account and download the latest receipt.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive. You see the screen and the mouse of the operator is moving, it's opening the tabs. It's coming back to you, it's asking you the login details, and then it's going there. And it's even saving your login details in the memory for a certain amount of hours. So if you do it again, and then it will download the receipt and come back to you and say the task is done.
Does it have any sort of practical applications in the business that you're running?
Right
or that you have,
now,
yeah, would you say?
Like for stuff like that, when we are traveling and you need the receipt, it's great, but it's more like to speed up your own personal processes. I don't know if it really has possibilities in large scale businesses.
Yeah. I guess that was kind of my thinking, is that why would you use that when you could use Model Context Protocol, when you could build out an NAN workflow to do that? It seems like there'd be better ways of doing things. Yeah, but Alan, what would you,
Yeah, I would rather use Operator than MCP. Because with MCP you have to plug in different servers so that the AI can use it. And the Operator I can just describe what I want to be achieved.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
For example,
Yeah.
booking a hotel, I think I can just like describe my requirements for a hotel and it will go. Can it book a hotel?
Yeah.
Yes, it can. You can book your table for a restaurant or...
Yeah, so with MCP I'll probably have to, like, if Booking did already their MCP, I would have to connect my agent to Booking's MCP and only then facilitate the connection.
I see. But once you have done that, you can do that multiple times once you've connected your MCP server, right?
Well,
So
yeah,
it's-
so if that's
yeah.
like a repetitive thing,
Yeah.
like for example, I connected my database to a agent through for MCP, so like every time we do some changes in database, AI agent can actually do them.
So it kind of removes that initial friction step in the first place. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Does anyone else have any thoughts? Lucian, do you have any thoughts on this? Yeah. Yeah.
I think because like for example on anytime you use like you have to use like Gmail now like if you want to send it back. So I mean you don't have to use like send code or and I mean with both use case like you still have to put in the credential. So I was because he thought like he could go to Uber website and like get the receipt and all. And I think another use case maybe like it could go to like Google Cloud Console and get the credential though, but it could be a bit technical. And like so like I mean even though I don't have any technical background, I could get the credential from Google Console Cloud and like connect with my app or whatever I'm using. So I think that might be a good use case.
You've got stuff like browser use, Skyburn. There's a bunch of them, Stagehand, they use MCP within them. Like you can use computer use with MCP.
This is a really, really good point. Yeah.
Which is better than Operator. I don't know why you spend $200 when you could just pay tokens.
Yeah, so this is a really good point, well made, is that in a way this is like a consumer model. I think all the points people have raised have talked about it removing the friction, right? So you don't have to build an MCP server. At the same time, there's a $200 entry in, fee because you have to have GPT, the plus, the Pro plan, I believe. The Pro plan, which is $200 a month. So you're not really removing much of a barrier if you're going to put that there. So, it's interesting that they put this out, but yeah.
Here that not everything has MCP server.
Yeah.
Like you cannot like every service. Probably major services like Google Maps or Booking are available there. But let's say you wanna do, I don't know, you wanna research some like the hotel chain in Philippines, if where is like the best like price to quality ratio, then like probably they don't have that MCP server, and you would go with operator.
Yeah. Flo, did you want to say
And
something?
I think like operators great for maybe personal tasks and stuff with low risk, but pretty soon banks will roll out their own MCPs, which will be much better. So I would do it with operator. And like I said, there are banks already working on their own MCPs, and that's probably when you wouldn't use operator.
No, to use operator, so much could go wrong if you used an operator to access your financial data. That seems like the wrong kind of use case for it. But you'd want to use MCP for that. So maybe we just need to think more carefully about what tool we're using for what use case. So if we are talking about accessing bank data, or we're doing something programmatically, like Alan was saying time and time again, then we're going to obviously want to turn to an MCP server or an NAN automation. If we're talking about doing something that is an everyday task, that's kind of annoying, like booking a hotel or something, then perhaps we'd want to turn to operator.
This AI fabricator?
Yeah, of course. Good to see you, Billy. Do you want to take a seat? Yeah.
I'm in the wrong place.
No.
I'm looking for exited AI fabricator.
Alan, do you want to go and grab a seat and come in? It's so good to see you, Billy. Sorry. Yeah. Do you want to go and ask? Do you want to go and ask them and get them to bring one in? Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my father.
Yeah. Billy, yes. Billy is is another very, very smart guy, senior engineer at Visa, and he's Alan's business partner. He's just sold his startup, so they're very excited. I haven't seen him in about a year, so very happy to have him back and to make an entrance like that, of course. Yeah. Alan, did you want to say something about this? Yeah.
About him?
No, not about Billy. I thought you had another point about
Operator.
Yeah, operator. Yeah.
Well, I think like when we have like just one service, then probably MCP can solve a lot of these problems. I think like what they started is this trend that now we're automating 10 minutes, but then we're scaling it to 30 minutes, and then we will do 8 hours job with just this operator agent.
Okay.
So like that's how I see it. Like in the future, like I think Sean said that like basically IT departments will be HR for agents, and this is a good start, and we will get there, and these agents will be the new employees.
Interesting.
Yeah, and NCPs is not gonna. It's very few people are gonna use API keys and all of these things.
Yeah.
So for the normal consumer, it's much better this one.
Yeah.
If it's secure.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
that's another thing. Yeah, the security. But I agree. I feel like this is something for the normal consumer. So yeah.
I don't know you guys if you know that now you can put an application in your proper mobile phone. So in terms of security, in terms of business environments, it's going to be more secure in terms of use that application internal of your mobile phone. So now all the mobile phones are being capable to host that application without internet, and you can use AI models to speak with them, and it's going to be so good because, for example, here in Bali there is not connection in many places, so you can create that applications in your mobile phone and host it there, and you can talk with them in very
Yeah, so you're talking about hosting an LLM locally on your phone.
Yeah, locally in the
Yeah.
mobile phone.
Yeah. I think we're going this way. Flo, did you want to have something to say about that?
Yeah, I can definitely confirm that
Yeah.
also from the news from
Yeah.
Vegas that now in the last couple of years all the tech companies were saying move everything to the cloud, but now it's absolute reverse trend.
Yeah.
Like Dell, they just roll out their new laptop. You can run up to 108 billion parameter models locally, and so everything is shifting now back to run locally. But there's still some flaws in it because if you want to communicate with a bank, you still need an MCP or something. It's great if you want to have like internal chatbot or whatever, but if you need to communicate with other services, you will still have like a connection. But you can run, the future will be that you will run all this stuff on the edge.
David, I think the stream has gone. Yeah. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay.
One
Yeah.
point to make
Yeah.
about MCP services, in the end, it's just an API, and everybody was saying, "Oh, we're going to make an MCP." They've been reluctant to make APIs for their services since forever.
Yeah.
They've been like, they want you to go through their portal, and they want to track exactly where you click, and they want you to show you ads. So I think even if they will provide an MCP server, you can't expect it to provide, like, give you the full functionality that you could get if you're automating it, avoiding their clean portal.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think the thing about MCP is that it's supposed to be permissionless. So the idea is that anyone can go and make a server, and you don't technically need an API to be able to make an MCP server, I believe, right? You can just sort of reverse engineer it. So that's supposed to be one of the revolutionary things about the MCP, is that you don't have to wait around for someone to say, oh, you've got to go through a server anymore. Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of reverse engineering APIs that you can find on GitHub already.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a thing for a while.
Should we move on and talk about something else, which is 11 Labs and Claude have sort of released a partnership together, which could be really cool. Is everybody familiar with 11 Labs and what it does? Yep. Text to voice. And everybody familiar with Anthropic?
By the way, Sonnet 4 is amazing for coding.
Yeah, you think? Yeah.
It's a big jump.
Yeah. So 11 Labs have partnered with Claude, and why is that significant? Well, Claude has not had a voice mode so far, so you can talk to it on your phone, and it will do a pretty arbitrary job of basically transcribing that for you and putting it into a prompt, and that's as far as it goes. You can use the dictation service on your Mac that's native to it. You can do that. You can use Super Whisperer to interact with Claude, but of course it hasn't had that same functionality that ChatGPT has, where you can actually have a conversation with it in a voice talk back with you. Now I think this is rather interesting because rather than go out and make their own version like ChatGPT has, they've actually decided to just partner with 11 Labs and do text to voice like that. So Anthropic either hasn't trained its own models on audio or hasn't achieved the necessary quality for speed synthesis on its own. So either they've just taken the decision not to do it, or they've tried to do it and they haven't been able to get to the right the right way. Anthropic relies on technology from 11 Labs, and obviously it's about making AI conversations more natural. So the point of this is that rather than talk to your home assistant, and rather than typing endlessly, you could literally just have a voice conversation with it and go back and forward. And I would gather, given they've used 11 Labs, you can have your AI adopt any voice you want to. So unlike ChatGPT's service that you have only a couple of voices to choose from, I guess in this case you'll be able to have David Attenborough as your AI assistant, or Morgan Freeman, whoever you want, I guess. But we'll see. Subscribers get a few extras. Paid Claude users can access voice mode to access content from Google Calendar and Gmail and Google Docs integration. For best results, Anthropic recommends a quiet environment and speaking at a normal pace. And free users may hit session limits, usually between 20 and 30 voice messages. So if anyone's used Claude, they know it's quite heavily rate limited in what it does. And of course, it shows you how Claude is following OpenAI and Google in adopting voice. Has anyone had access to this yet? Has anyone been able to use it?
Now from their website you can talk.
Yeah.
But just you have to push the button.
I see.
It's not like a normal interaction with ChatGPT.
See, yeah.
But it's working very good.
Yeah. Anyone else had any thoughts on this? Yeah. So these were the two main pieces of news that I'd seen this week. We also have some stuff coming up a little bit later, which is a bit more technical about OCR, which is the optical character recognition. But before we get to that, I'm going to demo some really cool things, I hope. Two cool things that I think are really interesting and really push the boundaries of where I think we're at with AI. The first of those is obviously text-to-video advancements. So you might have seen that Kling, which is the Chinese video model, actually released a upgrade a few weeks ago to Kling 2.1, and they have a master and they have a pro version. So the cool thing about that is the 2.1, I think pro version has come down in price significantly. So David, you said earlier it was what, like 50?
It was like 24.
Yeah.
24 cents for 5 seconds on their standard.
Yeah, $24 for 5 seconds, which has come down from about, I think, $1.40 is how much I was paying for per generation. And then VO2 was $2.50 per generation. So when you kind of look at it like that, it's pretty expensive, and you'd pay double $1.40, you'd pay $2.80 if you wanted 10 seconds of footage. Yeah. So if you think about when you're putting videos together and the amount of iterations you have to do from it, it can be very problematic. One way, of course, you can save money when you're trying to do text-to-video stuff is by using a service called FAO. So if anyone who's come to these meetings before, everyone knows I am a bit of a FAO AI fanboy.
Did you meet the founder of FAO?
I didn't, but Sean did, and Sean said, so Sean is one of our friends who comes, he's got a big news publishing business. He didn't send me the video, no. But he said that we were going to get free credits. So he said the founder was going to hook us up with some free credits for FAO. So, yeah. So I haven't got them yet, so, yeah.
Send him a message.
Did you?
They're connected on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
so he's changing it.
Yeah. So yeah, Sean went to, was it in Vegas where he met him? Yeah. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, what is FAO? FAO is basically a platform that, in essence, it's a wrapper. It just does API calls to other video and text models. But the cool thing about it is, rather than having to have lots of different subscriptions, so say you wanted to use Kling for your video, but you wanted to use Runway to get their consistent characters, or you wanted to use Flux, you would need to pay separately for each of those services and get a certain amount of credits. This allows you to top up and then just pay for what you want per use, which is really cool. So they don't yet have VO3, but they do have VO2, as far as I'm aware. But they do have all the Kling models, which they've just updated. So given that VO3 has come out, given that Kling has been upgraded to 2.1, I really wanted to push the boundaries to see how far could I take this. Could I make a YouTube short to potentially go out? So I'll talk you through my workflow, how I did it. So what I did is I basically got a single image of me from a recent podcast. So this is my YouTube channel, which we're sort of streaming to now. So if we go here, you should see, I've recently been interviewed in the studio and been putting up some shorts. Only really been taking it seriously for the past sort of 2 weeks or so. And getting my assistant to put these out pretty regularly for me. Rio's been doing a really good job of kind of learning what works. So it's pretty cool, but these are not AI generated. But what I wanted to do was to take a still of me in the podcast studio, looking very professional, and see whether I could replicate that and ask Claude to write a short for me, and to see whether I could use one of the videos to clone that. Now, Why would you do that? Well, for several reasons. Like, first of all, if you're just recording shorts that are videos where you're trying to convey information, like that's all you're really doing, and you're having to pay studio time. You're not having to just pay studio time. Obviously, you're having to get dressed up and to go there. If, like, this is interview setting, you've got to find someone to interview you, or you've got to interview someone else. And then you've got to have an editor go away and cut all of these up. So it can be very time consuming. I see Mix there's just joined us at the back, just as we're talking. Hello. So Mix is from DeepMind and an expert in some of this image to video stuff. So he will no doubt have a comment on what we're about to do. So I wanted to clone myself and to see whether I could make these very short 15 or 20 second little videos. And eventually I want to clone my voice and to use 11 Labs. And then you literally wouldn't have to do anything. You could ask Claude to come up with the idea. You could ask 11 Labs to give you the voice and from the text. And then you could make a video from these. So I had a go at making one of these videos, and I will show you how I did it and what the results were. And then we can have a little bit of a discussion about how good you think they are, how far away we are maybe of this stuff taking over. But this is what is possible right now. Now, you might ask, why did I not do this with VO3? Which is a really good question. Now, I didn't use VO3 for several reasons. First of all, it doesn't yet have consistent audio, and it doesn't have a image to video. So image to video is where you take a screenshot, you can give it to a video model, and it will just animate it for you. So without that, you can't get the image and the video together. So VO3 doesn't really work for this yet. And I actually thought Kling made a good job. And also Kling is more cost effective than VO3. And I thought Kling was just as good as VO3. So let me just find the videos that I made to follow up. Where are we?
Should we subscribe to your channel?
You can do if you would like. Yeah, no pressure. Yeah.
You cannot use Runway for create your videos?
Yeah, you can use Runway as well. You can use Runway, or you could use Kling as well. Those are two options. One of the models that you need is a lip sync model. So this entire workflow, just to explain how I actually did this. So I got the footage of the podcast. I actually screenshotted an image. I've got a still image of me talking. Then what I did is I took that image, I gave it to Kling 2.1, and what I asked it to do was my only prompt was make my lips move, So you could go more detailed than that. You could say make my lips move, animate me, make me look like I'm saying something passionate, maybe only make my lips move a small bit. So once you've done that, you can make a video of you doing that for up to 8 seconds. Then I went away and I used 11 Labs I actually recorded my own voice this time. I didn't use 11 Labs. I recorded 8 seconds of audio. Then I grabbed that, and what I did is I put it in the lip sync model. So the lip sync will actually pair your mouth movements with the audio. So we're going to look at both things that I made. The first sort of 8 seconds, 8-second video, one that Kling made, and then one after I actually put it through the lip sync model. And you can tell me if you think it's lifelike, if you would see that and you would think that it would do well. And I might actually put one of these out on my channel just as an experiment to see how well it does. But I think you'll agree, even if we're not quite there yet, we are very, very close to being able to do this and being in a world where you can literally write a prompt and it will create a video of your likeness to go out on your YouTube channel. So yeah, let me find this.
And also fine, they just released a new model that you can chat back with the image.
Yeah. You could, sorry?
Similar like with ChatGPT,
yeah.
You can generate an image and now chat back to do little changes.
Yeah, yeah, you can do that.
With which model?
Also on file. I think it's Flux.
Yep. So this is the video that Kling made before I put it through the lip sync model. So pretty realistic, I would say.
Wow,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you would notice unless you looked at that in a lot of detail. But obviously, it doesn't have any audio on it. And so this is the video of when I put it through the lip sync model. And so you'll see. The number one piece of advice I'd give to any CEO trying to implement AI is to avoid shiny object syndrome.
Doesn't make pauses.
What do you think, Alan?
Like, it probably would be more natural if it like paused for a second, but it doesn't do pauses.
Yeah. I wonder whether you could get this to actually, if you did enough iterations of it, you could get it to look natural sounding enough to actually get away with it. So yeah, Christian, I'm really interested in your point of view. What do you think of this?
I was really impressed with the first step.
Yeah.
The Kling AI really knocked it out of the park, and then the lip sync is probably lagging a bit. So but yeah, if you reprompted it, it's kind of like 11 Labs. Sometimes you get your voice result and it doesn't sound good, but then you regenerate. By the fourth time you've tried it, sometimes it really nails it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's the same here.
Yeah. Mix, can you talk us through a little bit, like why is there such a limitation with the lip syncing at the moment? How is this problem being solved? What could you do to solve this? Yeah.
I'm not an expert on lip sync.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Work on that's like apparently it's been like a very, very like big problem.
Yeah.
Basically, like say models for that detect key points like from human poses or from like facial expressions, they're overall very, very good. But like for like lips, you need like much like for lip sync, you need like much better accuracy and like the basic tracking the movement of lips is much more difficult problem.
Yeah. From what you hear in the research community, do you think we're far off from solving this problem, or do you think we're a long way off being able to close that gap?
I think it's coming. I think it's slow. Because like on there and like the other things that I mentioned, like just like key point detection, basically following like movement based on like some key points in the body or or in like overall like pace or something like that. That's been nailed for many years.
Yeah.
That's been working very well for a long time. Yeah, in my experience, like also like when you kind of have like any giant video model and like provide it with like specific key points, and it's very easy for the model to learn to follow that extra signal. And so somehow this lip sync has been like much more difficult problem, but like I think it's been a long time that it was considered like more difficult problem than the other ones. So yeah, I think yeah should be.
Do you think this is still neural resonance field, or something else?
I don't know. I was actually because I was like, so who's providing this technology?
So this is Kling's own lip sync audio. Yeah.
I don't think it's there.
Yeah.
I think it's like they must have like some other for like extracting like the facial expression, like more close, like basically detecting where the lips are, and then like kind of like in the zoomed out version, like detecting like some key points, and then basically conditioning the model on it, and like kind of applying that later to their jump nodes. I don't think their jump nodes like nerve based.
How are Google DeepMind with VO3 solving this problem? Because obviously they've got audio. I heard you say last week that they generate everything together essentially.
That's what I heard.
That's you don't know.
Not what I know, but like that's what I heard.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. But they've not got as far as audio kind of video when you were working at Google DeepMind, or audio and video together.
We've been doing some experiments, but like they're more very preliminary.
Okay.
I left like March last year.
I see. Yeah.
Year is like a long time.
Things are years a long time in AI. Things have moved on, I guess. Yeah. 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 And I'm sure Mix isn't allowed to reveal all the state secrets from Google DeepMind just yet. But I feel like this really shows you like just how close we are to being able to do this, and in fact, with a little bit of tinkering and a little bit of playing around, I think I could get a short to put out. Then the question becomes, how much effort is this going to actually take to get the result versus actually just going to the podcast studio yourself? When you're thinking about business in any aspects, that's also one of the ways we have to actually think.
But is that the state-of-the-art model for lip sync?
That to me that looked like the best lip sync I could. Certainly on FAO, that was the best one that I could find, and that was the most expensive one. That is a very good question. Yeah, let's. Yeah.
Because I remember that this Polish game dev studio, CD Projekt, when they were developing Cyberpunk 2077, they also used lip sync to provide for movement for all the characters there.
That is a very, very good point. Actually, we should do some research on that. I think looking at this as like SOP and what part in the process is not right is obviously the lip sync part, and maybe there's a better model that we can use. Certainly, when I went into Fallon, I was looking at it, and let's have a look.
Provide more of your videos and fine tune it.
Yeah.
To have a better lip syncing.
That's a really good idea.
Have you tried
HeyGen, like I don't think would do this, as I understand, because HeyGen you wouldn't be able to necessarily. I think HeyGen will make a clone of you, but you would like I'm putting things together in this way. I think it's different.
With the
yeah.
audio.
Yeah.
You're wanting to
over
video to the audio.
Exactly. Like HeyGen's more of a kind of a separate thing or like a wrapper. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's different from sort of trying to do this.
Like the use case of this would be like you've got some audio, you want to make a video, but you don't have any footage or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't want to go to the podcast studio, you don't want to get dressed up, you don't want to have to do all of this, you just literally want a video made. You've got some information to convey, essentially. And instead of, most people would either just sit at home and maybe record it, which you can do. Obviously, you can get your phone out and you can do some thought leadership, but it doesn't look as professional. Like I'm trying to speak to CEOs and executives. That's our target audience. So you want to look professional. You want to talk professional. So
I do wonder about that though, like resonance, how that would resonate with people differently to like if you just did it in person.
What do you mean? Like
energetically, like it's a bit different, like when you're actually speaking and it's, not to get woo-woo on you.
is now very good with the tones of the voice of the avatars. It's unbelievable. And also you can change the background in the agent.
Yeah. So like this is obviously an individual question and a kind of an existential question, but also in the same way, it also comes down to whether people can tell as well. Clearly, in that last lip sync video, you could tell, and so I wouldn't necessarily put that out. But if I could refine it to a point where it was less obvious, then perhaps it's worth trying to see whether people notice, whether it sort of saves some effort. So
It's a relative observation.
Right.
I think 90% of people probably could tell.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a video go to 1 million with a HeyGen model on it.
Yeah.
So most people just
What about on YouTube? You got to tick like, is this AI generated content?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
how does that
good
affect
point.
the algorithm of your content?
There are watermarks in these models that can tell, unlike text content, which is not watermarked. There's a watermark, I believe, in these models. So they would be able to tell pretty easily whether this was AI generated or not. But yeah, it's a good point. You'd probably have to declare it at some point. But also, how far are people interested or do they care? I think it depends what you're doing. For me, it's about conveying the information and looking professional. So, Chris, did you want to chime in here?
I think on that point, I think the platforms are going to regulate it, aren't they? Like put watermarks and stuff on it to like have an AI warning on the content. Because it is going to be indistinguishable.
It can be quite dangerous,
They're going to need to do something because you're going to have videos of presidents saying we're going to war, and you're going to need to be able to figure out is that real or not. So there'll have to be some sort of stamp of certification of this is real.
Yeah. So there already are watermarks embedded in most of the models, so you can actually you can tell, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
Just released the synth ID alongside VO3,
Yeah.
and if they open source, I don't know whether they open sourced it or not, but like if they make it like a industry standard, then they may make it mandatory on YouTube. Like if you are doing a video, like synth ID has to be there.
Yeah.
I think they released like part of it already a long time ago, but like what was open source wasn't like all beta libraries. So it wasn't like.
Do you watermark the videos made by your model?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
And is this like industry wide or is it like specific for your videos?
I mean, yeah, I haven't checked like all like other companies
Yeah, I do think it. Like, I feel like on YouTube and Meta, they already have that, and I just feel like it's just going to be standard that you are going to have to do this. There might be a small window, a kind of a gold rush, I guess, where you could put up videos like this, and maybe no one will tell. I'm very curious to see what happens if I do put up one of these videos on my channel. Does it get any views? Does it get a big flag on it from YouTube? Do people tell? So definitely want to keep playing around with this and having a go at this. Flo, do you want to go next?
Yeah, Alan, I saw you mentioned something about that internet theory. What is your opinion about that?
Well, I find it very interesting. Maybe I should explain that one. So that internet theory is that like nothing is real anymore, since like VO3 can generate videos of anything. It can, like, I saw the video of like a news reporter saying that J.K. Rowling died in the accident, or like if you mentioned like the president can say that we're going to war, and there are like so many incredible things that people make VO3 or do videos of. Like, you can't believe reality anymore. You don't like, and like here, okay, in this group, probably you can distinguish like, oh, this is AI or this is not AI. But like most people of this world have no freaking clue. So
along with the comments, like 80% of comments are like bots.
Yeah.
Supposedly. That's crazy numbers, but like a lot.
That can be a thing. Yeah, I remember like one of the biggest elements of like working on AI was this responsible AI and AI ethics, and like why OpenAI didn't want to release GPT-3 initially, like out in the wild, because they were afraid that it will be used for misinformation. And these things are happening like with like knowledge distillation. So you release a new model, then like for $300, like you first generate outputs from this new model, then you take smaller model, fine tune it with the outputs from this new model, and you have similar quality model way cheaper. So so this is like another way of like copying someone's work. I mean, there is also like this philosophical question, like if they first trained the model using the data of us all on the internet, so is that really stealing when you steal from a thief? People have different points of view on that. I'm just trying to say like there are, this theory can come true, and a lot of people will like stop believing in whatever they see.
Yeah, I mean now, like people like us can still see a difference, but the children who grow up, they don't know what's real anymore, because everything will be AI.
Arguably, this has already been a similar, like when Photoshop came out, photos are just like one level more now with videos, so obviously a bit more dangerous. But like, lots of Instagram just Photoshopped anyway, so people, I guess, have a bit of a feel for how to.
If you think about, I think this is pretty cool, because what we are gonna think is like from where this source of information is coming. So can I believe the source of information? Because this is already happening with the companies and the governments. How you know that the Federal Reserve have this amount of money, or the governments they have this debt? We don't know. We have third companies that they certify that is true, but we don't know. So in crypto, this is a big thing now. How we can certify that is really true, and who is saying that is true. So I think AI is going to open this door of questioning from the source of information. From where it's coming.
I think the question is is it possible to like kind of like when during trying to flag some kind of data, like I mean sensitive data, like this is the president of the US, so I mean like kind of like flag, and I mean like even like let's say people are trying to like come up with like video prompting the model, and usually like I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
Prevent some things from like being prompted.
That's, I guess, like, you know, you can put like a guardrails when like just filtering the prompt that the user is asking for being generated, right? Like, I think normally what happens in like in general is like that, like first stage is filtering the user prompt, and then maybe you can also filter the outputs. So like, you know, even if you're like you were like very like some user
but also in terms of individual security, we are using our phone to verify our identity on the app or on the bank account or anything. So how can we protect our security with our personal details if we can replicate any mimic of our face? It's kind of...
So I'm very interested to hear from our YouTubers amongst us. What do you think about AI content, and what do you also think about what Alan said about the dead internet theory? Do you think AI is going to have a positive or a negative impact on your, obviously you make your livelihoods from YouTube? What are you kind of thinking about this? Christian, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought my personal brand would be much more protected for a lot longer, because I thought that there'd be nothing coming close to being as human-like as a human, but I was wrong. It came very quickly, and so now I think the thing that keeps my, let's say, niche a little bit more protected is that it is travel content. So the humans, I don't think will want to watch travel content made by an AI thing, because the point is to actually go see that place for themselves someday. But yeah, I think that overall the attention that they are going to have left at the end of their day, whether they invested in my channel or brain rot or AI podcasts or anything, this space is getting so much more competitive. So I think it's anyone's guess, but I think there's going to be bigger winners and much more losers than ever before.
What are you thinking of in terms of like the next year, in terms of like changing or going on a different path in your business?
Well, I think my changes on my education front are going to be hyper focused on AI, because that's honestly going to be the decisive blow of whether you make it or not. You need creative fundamentals, but then you also need to be cutting edge. So that's going to be the big pivot. When it comes to my my travels, I think those changes would be more just personal. I don't want to do adventure travel forever, because it's a lot of work to go to the Amazon rainforest and then live a normal life too. So I'm going to try to do a little bit less travel and probably move more toward talking about investments and business.
Chris, do you want to comment on
yeah,
YouTube?
The point about travel is like the examples we're seeing is like a static background and a face moving, but like if you're like moving through an authentic environment, like in some distant country, I think we've got a bit longer until they. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is coming soon, but that makes it a little bit harder at least. And then also, there's certain destinations where there's not even stock video on. So if you're making a video about that place, I'm not sure if these models can accurately replicate something that hasn't been seen a million times before. Whereas if you did a travel vlog in Paris, for instance, with the Eiffel Tower in the background, there's like plenty of footage and images on the Eiffel Tower, so you could probably replicate the background. But then if you were in some random place where there's like not even stock footage on it, maybe it'll be hard.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
I also think short form will do worse off. It'll be much easier to compete with short form, because it was never that deep of a connection anyways. Authenticity was never that deep in short form for most creators. So I think that'll be the stronghold of long form, is that it keeps connecting to humans, and most humans don't want to let go of that human to human experience. Until they can be tricked.
Yeah, I mean, do you foresee a future where like long form content is all human generated and the vast majority of short form is just as I demoed, right? You just make those videos. Yeah.
It'll be hard to differentiate.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll get to a place where even platforms might not be able to recognize it, which I heard there was ways, or just conversations of putting in hidden barcodes or hidden, when you exported a video file, there'd be a way for it to be recognized as having come from a platform, but I don't know if that'll actually be in practice a reality. But yeah, I think people are someone's gonna open an all human platform. I think that's gonna be a social media platform that'll come to be.
That's interesting.
I was just going to say, I think it will be like, if you don't get in soon, you're going to get in trouble, because like you say, everyone's going to be competing. And like, you'll be able to just press a button and put a finished video out in like seconds. So if you build something now, that basically what you said, like holds people's trust.
Do you think that people will be spending less time on social media when like they start stop believing that this is human generated? And there will be so much more AI content?
I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference. I don't think you'll be able to literally put out like a
like imagine, maybe this is 5-10 years out, but imagine AI literally produces your show for you, not for anyone else. It's like content produced based on your liking. So like you don't even have to think of it as like it's prompting for people that are travelers. It's like, no, it knows Alan and it knows he likes this character. We're gonna make a new skit today and pump it onto his phone, and you can just keep scrolling and getting stuff made for you.
Yeah, and so that's actually, that connects very well with the theory. Like in the future, we can also connect to inputs from our brain. Let's say like you are a wearable, it collects data about you. This data is sent to AI, and AI generates content for you based on that.
Yeah.
So that can be happening.
Even though you can, in not far away, you can create a prompt and create a video or a movie in terms of what you want. Like for example, I want Brad Pitt on the movie. I want 1 hour 30 minutes of movie of action. You're gonna do the prompt and it's gonna be generated.
By the way, sorry, can we activate my philosophical friend sitting back in the room? Because he works with like this top AI research labs, yeah.
Billy, would you want to? Sorry, Billy, do you want to say something? Yeah.
Boy. First, I would definitely want to say that I don't know if I would want to see Alan's personalized content. I'm worried what I'd find on that.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. So much fun.
Yes, exactly.
Boy,
I would say, well, I mean, I think you're seeing a preliminary glimpse of it already, right? So if you look at Twitter, or X now, as we all must call it, let that sink in. I think you're seeing plenty of AI-generated content already, right? I don't think there's a social media platform where you're not consuming or recognizing a lot of AI-generated content, right? And so I think we're already seeing the preliminary behaviors where I think most of us probably tend to scroll past that content, right? I think that I understand the concern about, for example, AI replacing certain kinds of creative content for YouTubers and what have you. But as was mentioned, it's just not that interesting. People want to see content made by other people. So I think the easiest test for this that you can suss out is obviously text is way ahead of all the other models, right? No one would deny probably that LLMs, language models, are much further along than say audio or video generation content. And yet, when you guys are just reading pure text, while you might use AI to research a topic, if you're actually interested in content consumption, you may use AI to teach yourself, but a vast majority of people would want to hear authentic points of view from other people, right? Yeah, I think most people here, it might be interesting to read occasionally the right X post by an AI-generated agent from any platform, but a majority of us still follow other humans because we're more concerned about what other humans think. I don't think that anyone in here really cares that much about what an AI thinks about a particular topic, other than the fact that it can regurgitate a certain kind of information. It just has no ethical weight or taste weight in what it tells you in terms of whether or not you're right or wrong, or whether or not you should think this about the world. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So I think you see a prediction there. What's
But
that?
I don't want to challenge what you say because it's your point, and that's very interesting, and thanks for sharing. But I think like people would be interested in getting a content that either go in the sense of their ideas, just to feel comfortable with what they're doing, or because it's interesting. A lot of people are actually chatting with ChatGPT or other AI to know more about themselves, about their project, and so on. And let's say that TV reality shows, it's about people, right? But who says that it's very interesting or very intelligent? A lot of us are saying that we're spending too much time scrolling or watching like shit TV or shit videos. So I'm not so sure. I agree with you that we want fulfilling connection, but not everyone is about ethics or is about human connection. Is it?
I guess I would return the question to you this way. If you think about any prompt you type into YouTube or into X or into ChatGPT, sometimes you're interested in what ChatGPT has to say. We all use ChatGPT. We're at the AI Founders meetup.
Sometimes
Sometimes we use Claude. But my question for you would basically be, if you something that's AI generated versus human generated. And I recognize part of it's going to be AI generated for sure. I mean, there's no doubt that like AI generated content is going to start taking up some of our attention bandwidth, some of our screen time, right? And so now we're all competing for a little bit less of the screen time that we all have left to us. But I think still the majority of people, even though AI is proliferated, even like for example in long form journalism, like Harry's situation, you know, you want to read Substacks from interesting and informed people. You know, why are we all here? We could all just be sitting at home talking to GPT about what's happening in AI news this week, right? But you're interested in what Alan has to say or what Harry has to say.
Well, how are you going to know the difference?
That's true. Alan's humanoid robot could be sitting right here.
we all trust him, but he's the one who wants to press the button and get the content out of
Well, we'll see how well it does. Yeah.
I don't want to lose this line of
Lyceum, please.
I
Yeah.
want to ask a question.
Yeah, please.
So right now, I mean, we still need data, right?
Yeah.
We are talking like about art. I mean, we kind of like question the reality, right? So like, still like, let's say you see yourself. I mean, would you really sustain this like quality, this growth with like AI generated video? Because like, if everybody is like generating like AI content, so I mean there is like fewer like human content. So I was like asking me like, is it possible to like, I mean like, let's say video, Google video, like send the train that model on like AI video. I mean, could you get the same quality like, or
You train a model based on like outputs of another model.
yeah?
It's called distillation. It's, it's possible, but like you need like a lot of data. So
Yeah. That's what isn't that what Llama did? Or sorry, that's what DeepSeek essentially did, or allegedly did to
yes, that's
to
what
get
was
yeah.
alleged, how
Yeah.
DeepSeek was created.
Yeah.
That's what like
And Llama sort of pioneered this with, didn't they? Train their smaller model from their larger model as a teacher-student thing. I think you've talked about that, haven't you? Yeah.
But I will argue that most humans also they do distillation, right? You go into YouTube, you surf information, you get ideas or books from other people. So basically what we're doing is copying each other and improving a little bit and bigger our personality. But we take a lot of ideas from different people.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Right.
artificial intelligence is copying what we're doing now.
So let's try and move the conversation on a little bit. I think we're all getting a little bit existential, so we want to keep it focused on the technology. Yeah, Florian, you have the last word, and then we'll move on to.
I was last week in Vegas, and I had the opportunity to meet Ron Howard and Tom Hanks, so really famous filmmakers of the US, and I can share now.
Name drop.
They had a chat about AI and filmmaking, and I can share now quick.
Please, yeah. Do you want to come up to the front so the stream can hear it as well? Come on, my man. So we got Flo. Flo is going to talk us through.
Yeah, we'll just
what happened in
share
Hollywood.
5 really interesting insights. So what I say, AI and technology are creative partners, not storytellers. So both Howard and Hanks, they see technology, including AI, as like help, but they still, the human side of storytelling will never go away. Then the second point, collaborating and authenticity matter more than tech. So you see, they were not really a fan of AI. It was really interesting. There were 8,000 people at the conference, everyone in AI, and they were absolutely not convinced about AI. But it was a really interesting session. So yeah, another point I said, innovation is about serving the story, not showing off tech. And another one, interesting, AI tools can enhance, but they can't create meaningful stories. They are convinced about that. And human connection is always the end goal.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna lose so badly.
I disagree. I mean, I think everyone here. It's interesting, isn't it? The way Hollywood is responding to this. They're not responding in a collaborative way. They're responding in a kind of antagonistic way to this. But yeah. What did everybody in the audience think when they made those points? Because I presume the audience was AI enthusiasts, right?
Everyone was just laughing.
Yeah.
All AI guys there.
Yeah.
They had different opinion.
I
Yeah.
heard that Hollywood, you can tell how well Hollywood's doing by how many days booked there are for shoots. In Los Angeles this year is down 24% in terms of days booked
Yeah.
of shooting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's AI
Yeah.
directly yet, but maybe just as a whole, Hollywood's losing its grip over
Yeah.
media in every way.
Yeah, I'm so curious to hear what Mix has got to say, because Mix is working on a just to catch everybody up. Mix is working on a text to video, text to vision. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly the kind of the direct competitor like video
Yeah.
or Clean.
Yeah.
But we decided to like specifically work with filmmakers and like try to work with Hollywood. So our model is trained on like fully licensed data. That's like one of the concerns for Hollywood. Like part of the kind of like this pushback coming from Hollywood towards AI was that like AI is trained on the video that like we have that is our property, and like no one asks us like for permission, right? So that's apparently like important for some of the movie studios. But yeah, there's like in terms of like okay, how do I feel about like Hollywood and like how what I know about like their approaches. There is like I think Tom Hanks is like an example of like person who actually is kind of like open. Like there are like people who are much more kind of like I think respond like with ignorance, like that AI is like never going to be. It's just not interesting, right? These were comments like from many like Hollywood stars. Firstly on like giant text models or like on Midjourney or like video generation. But,
Do you have Tom Hanks in your trained data?
I don't think we have like any of the famous actors in our data. I mean, yeah. But we are talking to acquire.
Would you need just like the approval from like the like movie producer, or would you need an approval from
whoever holds the rights? And that's actually a tricky thing because like actors won't normally hold rights to the movies that they play.
So it's a real national.
But they're getting royalties for like.
They're like getting probably they're getting, but like probably the majority of rights are with like the studios that kind of like produce those movies. But I remember Tom Hanks specifically saying like in one interview that AI is gonna be great, like I'll be able to play in the movies even after my death, which is true, right? Like I mean you'll be able to like most likely produce a movie with like Tom Hanks like 100 years from now, as long as there's like a model that kind of has the knowledge of like how you like how to behave like on the screen.
So I couldn't imagine the work you put into this graphic and the data because you have to be really selective, right?
I mean, we need to be really selective because we kind of like we don't scrape data for training our model. Like that's kind of that puts some limitation, but also like this question of what happens if like someone sues me because I used your model for training something. That's what's kind of like difference.
It's managed to make it.
So let's move on to some of the stories so we get through the agenda without staying here till 11 o'clock. I really want to share this story, which I think is really fascinating, which is how you can do outreach, but how you can do sort of crazy next level outreach. So if you've been to the meeting before, you've probably heard me talk about some of the sales tech tools. Clay, has everyone heard of Clay or know what it is, what it does? So it's a tool that essentially lets you do outreach at scale and do research at scale. So you can bring in, it's like an Excel spreadsheet that allows you to bring in prospects, 1,000, 10,000 prospects, and then go away and send AI agents out to do some research and bring them back. This guy has, what he's done is he's essentially created outreach where he's created bespoke software for those companies and then sent them the software. So he's going to walk you through how he did it. This was a post he put out on LinkedIn. And I'm interested in it for several reasons. I think, first of all, it's very interesting to find think about what you can actually send to a client, to a prospect, before you have before you've even met with them, done anything for them. Like the amount of research that you can do, the amount of value that you can provide up front is one way of thinking about it. The other way of thinking about it is that because everybody can do this, it becomes almost irrelevant. And are the pieces of software that this guy has designed actually of any use? Are they any value to the company that they are sending these to? And if everybody can do this, will everybody do this and make a piece of software for them that are essentially just junk or of no value to them? So very interesting. So this is, as you said, this is the most advanced clay table this guy's ever seen. He's a GTM operator and a fractional CRO. And he puts, he really does show the goods. He's not just one of these people saying, comment and DM and I'll send you my 1000 node NAM framework. He's actually shown you the walkthrough video of how you do it. So this is a clay table. So you bring in the data from clay, from Apollo, from whatever database you're using. And so he's tidied this data up. He's got the source, and then essentially what
websites and other pieces of software that I'm able to send automatically to companies without any work on my end.
So he's
you are now able to use a simple prompt to create pieces of software.
So I need to share my screen with the YouTube.
Windsurf, Cursor, and many others. So I want to quickly shout out Alexander from Lovable, absolute legend for providing me with
what
an
he's done is he's actually managed to get the API for Lovable, which I don't think is publicly available. He's actually managed to get this and run this at scale. So Lovable is a piece of software. Is everybody familiar with Lovable? Everyone knows what it is, right?
Get imported every time you import companies into Clay. And so I had to find a variety of data
So did Rixie? Vibe, yeah, absolutely, yeah, spot on. Vibe coding, exactly. So you can go away and essentially make a piece of software with Lovable. So they've gone through, they've enriched the company. What they've done is he's got the screenshot of the company. He's even gone away and got the brand colors. So he's scraped the hashtag of the actual color code. This is the RGB number, I think you call it. Yeah, and got that for all of these websites. So he's got the brand colors. And then he's essentially scraped their website. He's asked an AI to think about, okay, if you were to build a piece of software for this company based on the scrape of the website, what could you build for them that's going to be useful? And it's come up with an idea. And of course, what you would do on top of that as well is you could probably get another AI to run past the ideas and pick the best one. So you could ask it to make it 100 ideas, picks the best one, it goes along, comes up with that, and then it sends them all to Lovable. So he's obviously reached out to the CEO or somebody at Lovable who's given him access to the API, and then it makes these pieces of these software. So he's given you the prompts here, the response, and obviously it's a little bit more technical. You've got to do a lot of steps. You've got to obviously convert some things to JSON, get the JSON prompt, and then send that to NAN. And then from NAN, he's got an output that is in Lovable, and then he's obviously written the email based on the piece of software that he's written. So it's a pretty incredible email to send to someone, like, hey, we just made you a complete piece of software. Do you like it? And it could, of course, backfire. Now, interestingly, the pieces of software that he makes, although they're in the brand colors, they don't actually work. They're just prototypes. They're just MVPs, so they're not hooked up to anything. They're essentially just kind of front end. So this is carbon impact.
He put those ideas into Lovable as text prompts, and then it started producing like mock-ups of the product.
Yeah, basically, essentially made the front end. Right, it doesn't work. It would need a database. It would need a bunch of things to be connected to it. But it's made something. Yeah.
Yeah. Still a good. Like clients would be stoked to get something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the question, the serious question, which is, like, so if we look at some of the things he's made, so Field is like a dating app. So they're in Boulder, Colorado. He's got the chief operating officer of Field.
Came up with the idea to copy Field.
He's giving them like an app or an extension for Field as to how that they can like actually iterate on it. What has he made for field? Let's see if we can see what the app is. So we just created you a quest, let's see, desire quest tailored for field, and we'll love to hear your feedback. So these are all tailored to what he's made. So it shows you how far you can go with this. Now, here's the thing, right? This is crazy, but if everybody can do this, and if the pieces of software don't work, and if they're not really valuable, you're talking to very serious companies that have over 1,000 employees that have got, a team of devs there. What use is that to them?
And also, like a lot of these companies would have their own strategies going on in the background, so it's like what you see and find is usually pretty outdated.
Yeah. Billy, Silicon Valley man, what do you think of this? So this guy, just to catch you up if you missed it, he's basically got the API from Lovable. He's got a clay table together, my favourite piece of software, as you know. And he's got ChatGPT or GPT-4 to come up with some ideas. And then he's got the Lovable API to go away and make these ideas for these companies. So, for instance, he's made like a desire quest for Field, which is like a dating app. And then they're then sending these to them. But they're not actually, they don't actually work. They're kind of MVPs. They're in their brand colours. Yeah. If you received an email like this as a Silicon Valley person or someone pitching you this, what would you think? Would you take it seriously, or would you think this is just trash? Would you have a call with them?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing to appreciate is just how heterogeneous adoption of AI is across the enterprise. So I have a couple different AI companies I'm associated with, and we're selling to B2B customers all the time. And you might think that a startup or a FANG company would maybe have a better data science or AI team than maybe some legacy Fortune 500 company. But that's not always the case. Sometimes a company that's an incumbent, that is 100 years old, that missed the last tech boom, decided to go all in on AI, and they're way out ahead. And then like the company that's a challenger or that was only 10 years old has already been leapfrogged by them. And so my point is that if you're AI native, we're a very small slice of the B2B customer pie. So my point is that if this guy is sending out MVPs or POCs that are pain point specific to different business-to-business customers, well, there's a lot of people out there that don't go to AI Founders meetups and have not seen where the latest tech is. And so if you show them what RAG can do, even though RAG's been around for 2.5, 3 years now, they are going to be like, oh my God, this is going to save me so much time. I've never seen anything like that before. Just because AI is so powerful, I mean, even all of us, right? If you see a new model come out or a new AI demo, even all of us are like habitually impressed, right? Like once a week, even though we look at this AI content 24/7, once a week, it's like you see a demo, we're like, damn, I didn't know we were there. And so my point is that it's very easy to have that effect with that kind of MVP to an enterprise customer that just isn't following AI trends all the time. So would an AI person from Silicon Valley pick up the phone? No. Would the mid-market manager at a potential B2B customer call you? Oh yeah, so you have a good conversion on that.
Oh, interesting point of view. Anyone else have any thoughts on this? How would people who kind of run businesses, what would they feel like? Yeah, Christian, yeah, if you've got this.
Maybe it's because I missed something, but I don't understand. He emailed everybody an asset, right? A piece of software custom to their profile.
Yeah.
So could I then extend this into the idea of like, is there anything that I can use in my business to scrape information on all of our email leads and then basically put together a custom report for every content creator and then email that to them?
Yeah, actually very easy. What David and I are just finalising at the moment is we're going to have a lead magnet on our website. So people just fill in some questions, put their email, and then we go away and scrape their website and we give them a report saying we think that you're not doing this with AI and you could be doing it to save yourself time or to save yourself money. There's lots of different data points that you can collect from people using tools like Clay. So yeah, that would be very easy. If you had their emails
Let's say you just had one thing, you only had their email.
Yeah.
Can you use that to pinpoint their Instagram, their Facebook,
you could do a very good job. If they're given a company email address, it's a lot easier to find that, because you could then find their LinkedIn profile, and then from there you could probably find their Instagram as well.
That's basically the Clay proposition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could do that. It would depend on your email list, like how big it is, who's in there, what email address they've given. If they put their email in their bio, on their Instagram bio, it would be very easy to find that. You could do a simple Google scrape. So, once you have that information, then the world's your oyster in terms of what you could do with AI. Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on this before we move on to a few papers and some networking?
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So we'll link to this guy. I'll put it in the chat for you. But this is by far the craziest Clay sort of campaign that I've seen.
Which plan do you use on Clay? Yeah?
Which plan?
Yeah. Do you use on Clay, like pro version?
You would need to max out everything on Clay to be able to do this. You need API keys. So I don't know what plan he's on, but to do API requests, you need the plan that's $150 a month to do any API requests, and these are all API requests. So you can see here where it says 200, that means it's an API request. So he's had to write a line of JSON.
Does that not cost a fortune?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you
often, sometimes you gotta pay to get API licensing and things like that, isn't it?
Well, it depends. That's a good question. It depends what your use case is and what you're doing. So, and it depends on the API. So if you want to scrape emails from an email database, it can cost like $100 a month for like 5,000 emails. Yeah. If you wanted to scrape, there's a tech stack one called Built With, which tells you basically what tech you've built with. So that one I think is maybe a couple of $100 US. I'm not sure. So it really depends on what you're doing. Yeah.
Infinite amount of big connection, responses or whatever you can get.
Yeah.
Like what you just pay. Maxes out after a certain amount
yes.
of connections or something?
No, you just for API keys. You mean for API?
Like,
yeah.
You could do maybe 100, but then this thing's just going all night making like connection.
Yeah.
Connection. Like how does that work? Like with all the is it maxed out at the amount of connections that it makes it people buy or lease their APIs for the amount?
No, you just go to a higher plan. So if you want 10,000, you say okay. But at some point, usually you have to get on a call with the enterprise team. At some point, they're like, okay, you're a million a month. Then obviously they're gonna have a chat with you and they're gonna want to know, okay, what you're doing, why you're using this. It just depends on your use case. But most of the time you can get a couple of thousand a month or whatever, and it depends on the plan that you have. So
and is the MCP thing the same? Will it be the same like that?
How do you mean? Yeah.
Well, sorry, this is a silly question, but in my understanding, the MCP is similar to the API, right? In a way, or not?
You need you don't necessarily need an API, but you could do with an API. It would help you to build an MCP server. So yes, if you're calling an API that costs money to call it, then yes, you're going to have to pay for that. But not every
That's the thing that's calling the MCP. You would still have the API.
But not every Not every API costs money. Some are free. I think Google's ones for just normal everyday use are free, I believe. If you want to call, I don't think sometimes you get free credits. Sometimes some APIs are like you get 1,000 free credits a month. So if you the key difference between this and doing MCP is usually MCP you've either built your own tool or you are just integrating it natively into your Claude desktop app. So on the Claude desktop app, you would just be running it for your own personal use case. So you would never need this level of enterprise call. So it's going to be inexpensive anyway. But stuff like this is expensive to run, right? There's no question about it. You're going to pay. You're going to need some capital up front to be able to run something like this. Most of the people that are running this now are people who are offering this as a service, running lead gen agencies like the type I used to work for, where they basically build this out for clients and sell it as a service to basically generate leads for them. and they factor those costs into how much they charge. You know, some of these agencies charge 8, 9, 10K a month, and you know, usual fee is about 3 or 4K from a basic agency, and then there'll probably be some costs either factored into that or on top. So yeah.
But where do they get the data from?
Good question. Really good question.
Like I have to assume
Yeah.
either it's your CRM connected to it and it feeds it and then it enriches the model, and there are a lot of other programs that do it without AI because they scrap like LinkedIn for instance, or CRM is done. Or let's say you do a marketing campaign and people join a webinar and then you get a list of email. But back to the question behind, I think it works better for B2B business rather than B2C. Because how do you link this?
Well, you can run B2C campaigns on this. I'm planning to run a B2C campaign to Instagram influencers because I have, I also write books. I publish books, fiction books, and so I want them to review it. So I'll be running a campaign like this to Instagram people who are on Instagram. So you can do it for B2C if you want. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
And then what metrics do you have on individual customers, like age or what they give?
Specifically on the campaign that I want to run, or on this?
On this.
On this. So we're talking now about how you get data, right? How you get data for these things. So there's essentially several different ways. First of all, you can scrape a list from Apollo. Apollo is the main B2B database. So if you're a business, you're a CEO, you're generally on there. The problem with Apollo is it's pretty flawed. You will get contacts back that aren't maybe what you asked for. The data is a little bit messy, and of course everybody goes to Apollo to get their list, and you can use something like export Apollo to scrape it. You can, Zoom Info is another one. These are all big databases you can go. If you're doing B2B outreach, this is the standard play. You go there, you scrape the data, you bring it back to Clay, and then you start enriching it, sending bots off to their website, start cleaning the data, huge process. The other thing you can do is you can scrape Google Maps. So you can say, okay, I want to reach all the gyms in Bali, so I'm going to do that. That's somewhat limited because I think there's only so many 100 or 1,000 you can get from there before Google blocks you. You need to find a pretty smart way to be able to get that data at scale. You can have an AI bot search the internet directly now and bring you back some leads. So you could say to Claude, okay, go away. Here's my database. Here's my ideal profile. We call it the ICP. Go away. Search it, bring it back. There's multiple ways. There's infinite ways of getting data. You can get data from government databases, but those are the main three: Google Maps, a database like Apollo or Zoom Info, like you identified, or doing a Google search directly, or your own CRM.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I just ask something else on that? This is on the workflow aspect of
Yeah.
this whole thing. Like when we're talking about building things,
Yeah.
I've been kind of exploring this a little bit
Sure.
the last few weeks, and like going down the rabbit hole, and I'm sure everyone's probably way past that here, but like the N8N and the make.com and all of these kind of like workflows that you can kind of build out, right? Obviously some are more complex than others. But like when you're talking about connecting all these things and making all of this, now we're at this step in the process sequence scenario, and then it goes here and then it goes there. You're kind of using like N8N or make.com to kind of connect all of these tools together, right?
This specific one, this workflow here uses N8N. They take the data out of N8N and bring it back. This is Clay, but you don't have to do this. So you can make a table in Clay and do all of this without using N8N.
Okay.
You don't have to use that. Yeah.
But
So,
it's just like the more complex the sequence and the more tools that the scenario and the more tools you're bringing in, you're going to need to kind of connect them up somehow.
Yeah, like there are multiple ways of doing the things that you want to do, I suspect. So you can build an N8N workflow. You can code out your own tool. You can use an MCP server. You can use Make, which is a little less sophisticated than N8N. You can use Zapier. You could use one of these tools like Clay, which is just doing essentially API requests put together. In this table, they built like 90% of it in Clay. If you go back, part of this is built in N8N. Part of this, the stuff where they send it out to the Appify API, which they don't have, which is not native, that's not available to everybody.
Which I've converted.
They've made some JSON code and sent it out to N8N. But this is not standard practice. You wouldn't usually do this. You can build things that are slightly less complicated than this in just clay. You don't need at all. I think the question you're asking is too broad, really. I think you need to come with...
It depends on what you're building.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It really does depend on what you're building, what workflow you can do. And there's multiple ways of doing things. You don't have to go down one route. So don't feel like if one route is too complicated, you have to keep pushing and going with it. Choose different route, look for different information. Hope that was helpful. Any last thoughts on this before we move on to some OCR reasoning stuff? Yeah.
Just a bit confused. Like, he builds a product, he sends it to a prospect.
Yeah.
They book the meeting. What happens then? He hasn't got a real product, right? It's just an idea.
It's a lead magnet, yeah. So the idea is to get their attention. And I suppose he could do one of several things. He could use this to say, look at the cool stuff with AI that we can build from you. If this is what I can build without doing any research, imagine what my team could do. He could actually go away and build this for them, I guess, and say it doesn't quite work, but it's in your brand colours. Lead magnets are about getting attention. So that's what they're trying to do. And so because this space has become quite competitive, probably all of you at some point received these emails being like, hey, saw you like this LinkedIn post, so blah, 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 5...
It's so emotional.
Yeah.
When something like that appear on your email and it's right for you, it's so emotional because no one is telling you that so real in terms of your necessities and everything.
Yeah. So this is trying to get their attention by basically saying, look, we've managed to solve this.
I really want to... Did you show in this video the result you got from this?
Yep. So we went over it. So just to show you. So he does go to NAN, as Rix was saying. This is a rare case. This is the only clay workflow I've seen where they've actually had to go off to NAN. We can show you some of the results. So here, Celestial Seeker. So you can see it kind of works but doesn't. It's in their brand colours. It's got all the features in there. You can see here scenario planning.
Can you put it back, please?
Yep. Which one do you want to see?
The
Celestial Seeker?
Yeah, please.
Does he disclose his CAC?
Sorry?
Does he disclose his CAC?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
No.
He's using Lovable. I know that. But he's using Lovable, but that's as much as he says that he's using Lovable. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's got to be the most expensive part, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
It would be interesting if you ask me the question that you asked me in the beginning, because he was the one negotiating this.
Okay. Okay. So we'll leave some time at the end to chat with Billy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Christian, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. Perfect. Good to chat. Yeah. Let's do some OCR reasoning stuff, and then we'll talk about your news. Some very exciting news. Yeah. Okay. So this is very interesting, and I'm interested in hearing what all the researchers think about this. So we're going to catch people up. If people don't know what OCR is anyone unfamiliar with what OCR is? I guess some people might not know what it is, right? Yeah. So it's okay. OCR is optical character recognition. It's the way of extracting text from images. It's been around for a while. It predates AI, and there have been some upgrades to it. We have a problem with AI fundamentally. If you've ever tried to give a PDF document to Claude and put it in your project knowledge, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you've ever tried to give it some data and then asked it to recall that data. So let me give you a real world example, right? So I have a fitness Claude that I've set up with a project. So you know me, I go to the gym 3 times a week, and I use AI to basically be my trainer and keep track of all my stats. I have an MCP server set up with my Notion to go and record everything for me. So this week I wanted to include a new menu so that I had the stats of it that I eat regularly. So I have the macros of it, so I can record, make sure I'm on the right track for protein and for calories. So I just gave it the PDF, And I said, okay, tell me how much I've eaten today based on, you know, I ate this from this restaurant and this from this restaurant. And then it gave me the wrong estimate from the PDF. And the reason it did that is because I think it misinterpreted some of the numbers, or it didn't quite know where to go and find the data in this huge PDF document that it was looking for. And so it's a problem, because what we do is we send OCR and AI, they're separate. And OCR up to this point has not been smart, right? OCR literally just goes, looks at the data, extracts some text, and then it's the LLM that does the work, the reasoning work. So we need a way of fixing that problem, because OCR is about so much more than that. And I really like this post, and it's commented on 3 really interesting research papers in this field about how OCR is advancing and how we're trying to solve this issue. OCR needs to be more than just looking at the extracting the data, because it needs to understand, is this a table, where is it located, how is this like paginated. So if you're studying it like a 20-30 page PDF, things can get confusing. But you might have had the experience, like me also, that when I actually screenshotted just the parts, the information that I wanted as a table, and gave that to the LLM, it was able to copy it straight away into a table for me. So I could then basically copy and paste that and add it as a text into my project files. So this is, I think, fascinating, because it basically says, we need a solution to this. We invented OCR before the AI age, and we used it for extracting information. Really, I think the biggest use case I've heard from it is extracting, digitizing like newspaper archives. So previously, if you wanted to look up a newspaper from a particular year, I'm a student of history, you have to go to the archive, get out the microfiche, know the exact date and the year it was published. So if you were looking for a piece of information and you were like, well, I think it happened at some point in January 1960, and it's a daily newspaper, you've got 5, 10, you've got 20 editions of that newspaper to look through, and you've got to scan every single page. That's an entire afternoon of work. We used OCR to digitalize all of this at scale, so we could actually create a searchable index of these newspapers. So now you can search for a name or a date across a whole bunch of years. But we invented it at a time before we had AI, so we need to upgrade it. So these papers are really a start of something that sounds really boring, I suppose, but something that I think that's going on behind the scenes that I think will become prevalent. And I really think this is one of those like small incremental things that's happening behind the scenes that will make a big difference to certainly the way RAG works and the way AI models work. So I'll just bring these papers up briefly, and then maybe Billy or Alan can have a bit of a comment on some of the technical side of this. But this is OCR Reasoning Benchmark. So this is an attempt to essentially benchmark reasoning with OCR. And this is a, where are we? Let's get back to I want to make sure, just see that that we're streaming this correctly. Perfect. So, sorry. Where are we? I've lost the paper. Yeah, so there's 3 papers here. One is essentially a benchmark. One is asking the question, can large multimodal models save complex logical reasoning problems from OCR cues? The other one is, do large multimodal models excel at something? Let me open this up. I keep losing the page. And then the other one is, do your large multimodal models excel at logical reasoning on text-rich images? So when it says large multimodal models, a multimodal model is just one that handles like text, image, and now voice as well, I guess. Alan, I'm super curious if you've come across any of this. What do you make of the way that I framed this as a problem? Do you agree with me that this is like something that's potentially influential behind the scenes?
Well, so I've been, like since I saw this, I've been thinking what would be the potential use case. Like in my recent experience, like a lot of the problems are just being solved with the tools that we currently have. So apparently this is a solution to a new problem that I haven't encountered. And is there any tangible benefit of applying that instead of first OCR and then reasoning model? I probably would have to read that
Read
paper.
the paper, yeah.
Yeah, to see. I think I don't know who published this paper, but probably someone who had a problem.
Yeah. He was like, I'm gonna write a paper on it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty smart. Instead of complaining in a WhatsApp group about this problem, and they went away and figured it out. Just do it. No, I think this comes from a university. I see Jing Zhang's name on a lot of papers actually. Yeah, recently. Let's have a look. Yes.
You know what?
Course,
by
yeah.
the way, I
8,000.
on all these OpenAI's presentations,
Yeah.
there are so many Asians that I realized, like during job interviews,
Yeah.
I became biased. If someone is Chinese or if someone is Asian, I feel super excited that they're going to be a great engineer.
Billy, would you like to opine on this briefly?
Yeah, there are three big use cases I've encountered in the last month or so with OCR. So, I mean, the first use case to think of is the use case that you mentioned, which is the parsing of handwritten documents. So I was giving a demo at MIT about 3 weeks ago, and I used the latest benchmark model from Mistral on OCR, which happened to be best in class at the time. I think they published a couple since. And I used that workflow to parse historical documents from the Revolutionary War that were about the financing of the Revolutionary War. Because I was in Boston, because that's where MIT is. So it was able to read the calligraphy and pen work that had been faded in these historical documents and then present it in a kind of quantitative UI dashboard instantly. So the OCR was successful not just at parsing the text you would maybe get from a photographic image of a newspaper, but actually from turgid historical documents that no one would want to ever read. And so it's pretty obvious to me that professors or researchers or archivists will eventually interact with all historical documents in that manner. You will just ask an OCR, which will parse a vast library. And then you don't have to do all this intense scholarly work of sitting in the stacks. So that's a big benefit. The second interesting use case is one of the primary drivers of interest in OCR about 10 years ago was there were a lot of startups that were funded in Silicon Valley that were trying to identify logos in social media content. So advertisers wanted to know if you were posting a picture and holding a Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola wanted to know that. And so they wanted to find a way to canonicalize and capture that data. And actually the third most important use case is by far clearly perception. So if I'm wearing a wearable glasses and I'm walking around and I need Terminator view, right, where it's identifying all of the text around me and reading it and then digesting it and then running it through an AI model and giving me some suggested actions, then you need OCR, right? Because it's not just going to be able to do that. So the one example that was interesting that came up for us recently was some of the video AI models have begun to incorporate perception models in parallel. And so I was speaking to a video AI model recently.
Oh, that was the case at our startup.
Yeah, that's right. And so I was wearing a shirt that said, Deus ex machina. And it said it in calligraphy on my shirt. And of course, because it was reading it through my camera, it was mirrored. So it was mirrored and in calligraphy and on my blurry shirt. And it read it and asked me about it. So that was spooky.
We had a problem with this stuff because it was like asking this question every time.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
just focusing in on the text on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Interesting.
or asking about your surrounding.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
sorry. This thing is capable right now to recognize your movement on the
Perception
track it.
model?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And track it, for example, to develop an AI of vision that can count repetitions of artists, for example.
Yeah. So what I was saying regarding perception was, if you're wearing a wearable, right? Obviously, it's going to parse certain things in the environment, like Tesla's FSD, right? It's looking at where the car is going all the time through images primarily. But the point is that it might also need to read a road sign, right? And for that, you need to be able to sometimes translate the image to text to be parsed separately or parsed in parallel, because there's additional information in your environment that's not just from your visual field, but from what you read, right? So it's the difference between being a person that can walk around. Imagine if you were illiterate, right? You can walk around and navigate in the world, but then obviously if you could read, then it opens up like a second world for you. And so without OCR, that's a very low latency. You miss that second layer that you could add to a wearable to parse the real world around you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Alan and Billy's startup? Tell us, has the deal been signed, and what's got?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you willing to share details with us as far as you would like to go, and tell us what you actually built for the benefit of those people who don't know you guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's of course all this stuff is confidential and under NDA,
Yeah.
but I can speak in generalities and in we'll just say I can we'll call it a friend NDA. You want to come up here?
Sure. Yeah.
So
We're streaming on YouTube. Yeah. Oh, do you want to?
I'm aware that we are streaming. So basically, about a year ago, me and Alan began working on a full stack AI application. It was recently going through an acquisition process, which is wrapping up now. And so we built out over the course of a year with a small team, and were acquired by a US-based AI data training company. I'm not going to name which. But that is basically what's happened, and so that was a very cool process, but also an extremely painful and intense one for anyone that's been through an acquisition. So what we actually built was a full stack AI application called AI Recruit that really became what we pretty much believe to be maybe the best in class at the moment for like an off-the-shelf turnkey AI tool for a recruiter to begin incorporating AI audio and AI video interviews into the recruiting process. It has all the integrations you'd expect to third-party tools like Greenhouse or SendGrid or stuff like that. And so that was recently, so now Alan and I are wrapping that up and going through what will be basically a conventional sort of earn-out scenario post-tech startup acquisition. And now we're looking to build something new.
And can I ask?
After like a few months.
Yeah, after a few months.
Alan's like after I go to Las Vegas and lose all my money.
So,
That's exactly right.
$1 million question.
Yeah.
How much was the deal? Was it 6 or 7 figures? How much are you allowed to say?
So that part I can't say. I can't give you that's definitely confidential. I'll definitely get in trouble for saying that figure. But what I can say is that the return on invested capital was hundreds of times.
Okay.
Hundreds of times return on invested capital.
Okay. Well, let me say congratulations to Alan and Billy. I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you.
I think a round of applause. And hopefully it's like a inspiring story to people who want to build things, that people who've come to this room do actually build things and do actually make a lot of money. And if you you do all the right things and you really put your head down and you really capitalize on a space. I mean, how long did you guys work on this? How long a project was it? Yeah.
Realistically, it was about a year. It was about a year's worth of concentrated product iteration. So, I mean, pick a problem and just run sprints on it for about a year and make sure you get some subject matter expertise in there. Build AI tooling around that specific problem, and then pick some target buyers that you think would be interested and start conversations with them early. And then when it comes time that you would want to take a move like that, if you think there's right time, right place, then you can start that conversation.
And if you could give a piece of advice to anyone who, like right now, they want to build an AI tool and they want to do the same as you in a year, sell it, what would you advise them to do, and what questions would you be getting them to think about?
Yeah, good question. The first of which is that, so when me and Alan got together to build what we built, we were able to, I think you guys can probably see, for example, we did the lip sync demo at the beginning, right? And you can usually kind of guesstimate where you think the tech should be in about a year, right? If you see tech emerging, for example, that lip sync application, we can see where it is now. I think if you saw some preliminary models 6 months to a year ago, you could see that that tech wasn't done yet, but it was moving there. And so it's a classic example of sort of skate where the puck is going. And basically, if you can build an AI application that is going to be timed well with advancements in AI models, that gives you a pretty good chance of building a product that will be early in the market. What's tricky, of course, is if AI startups today are extremely well funded. One of the reasons me and Alan decided to make the maneuver to sell the company was in part because it was pretty clear to us that maybe a year from now, it would be very difficult for us to hold on to that lead that we had with the product, because there is now billions and billions being funneled into similar TAMs. And so my point is that if you pick a product where it's very obvious you could build it today, then probably beyond just Bali, people that are in Silicon Valley that are able to raise millions of dollars will probably have a similar idea. And so you don't want to go and compete against the YC company or 10 of them because they're all being very aggressive. YC has funded like 20 AI recruitment products. So you don't want to be in a horse race with them over the long run, right? What you'd rather do is you'd rather look at where you think AI is now. Ask yourself if that model went from okay to like commercially viable, if it went from like, okay, this is kind of a cool toy to that'll be commercially viable in like a year, and you start building an application now that will be commercially viable in a year, then you're going to be in a good position. So that would be advice number one. Advice number two, I would say probably that in terms of just learnings from doing a kind of acquisition like that, we were able to sell the company to people close in our network, and that we have good relations with. But let me ask you this: Does anyone here own a house? Cool. Yeah, I guess the nomad group. It's like not really.
Probably you'd ask that question anywhere else in the world, and you get everyone put that.
So if I sell my buddy, right, like I don't know, if I sell him a used phone or a motorbike or something, right, I can give him a friend price, right? But the moment you're selling something as valuable as like a company or a house, well, if you sold even your house to your friend, they would, you would not be willing to give them some massive discount on your house, right? My point is that if you're going to be selling a company, you have to be prepared for the fact that regardless of how much you like the people you're selling the company to, or how well you know them, or how much they seem to be your friends, when you're talking about that kind of money, there's going to be an enormous number of people involved, and people will follow incentives even if you guys have a very personal relationship. That's just how it goes, because an acquisition process takes months. Because our acquisition, the way we structured it, we were able to do it quickly, and quick was like 4 to 6 months. A typical acquisition takes more like 9 to 12 months. And again, it's something where you have to maintain leverage and play poker pretty much the whole time.
So with the no one knows what is going to happen in 1 year. So if you are building something that you think in 1 year is going to be worth it, but for the time that it's growing everything as fast, at the end, what is the future of the application when the open source and no codes are appearing and everybody can do all the applications that they want? So you think that in applications are the future, or there are business there, or the business of application is going to be full of offers because everybody can do applications in one program?
Why don't we frame the question like this? You've just sold AI Recruit.
Yep.
What would you work on next, or what areas would you be working on next?
And
the reasons why. Yeah.
This application's dead, and it's a good thing to invest your time in now. I mean, I'd put it this way. If you're building a new product, one of the ways I like to think about it is this. Your value as an entrepreneur or as an engineer is exactly related to how much value you're able to add on top of the tools everyone has access to, right?
100%, yeah.
And so my point is that if we all use the same exact state-of-the-art tools, right? If we're all using Lovable and everything, right? Well, anything below what Lovable can generate is no longer valuable, right? Because Lovable can generate it. So it's worth about as much as an API prompt. But anything above that, right, that is where you're creating value. And my point is that goalpost is always moving, right? So my point is that it's relatively safe to assume that you know, obviously certain parts of the application layer will become more simplified and more accessible for people to generate themselves. But that being said, if you're still able to build things that take a year to build using the best-in-class tools available, you're probably, if you pick a specific problem, you're probably the only person on earth that did that. That make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's also like, if Billy didn't read all this like hundreds of books he read and he wasn't that outspoken, then probably, and didn't have that network that he has, then probably no deal would happen. So like what Billy said, this value as an entrepreneur. If you can just take a shitty app developed by Lovable in a day and still sell it to someone because they believe in you and you believe in this app, that you can put your reputation on what you're saying, then you can make a sale in a day.
But my question isn't that a bit anxious? Like, I mean, because you said it takes like 12 months to close the deal. So like, because a lot of things could change within that time frame.
1000%. Yeah, so that means you have to make sure you continue developing the product and maintain your leverage over your buyer for that 12-month period. If you stop developing from the moment that you start going through the acquisition process, if you stop in your tracks and assume that you're going to be acquisitions absorb an insane amount of time. Any founder will tell you that, you know, fundraising is like a full-time job to have on top of building your startup. And I've raised venture capital lots of times, and that's certainly true. Acquisitions are like 10 times more intense than fundraising.
I mean, like, just a question, how many, because you said you have raised funds a lot of times, could you give us the rough estimate of like...
I'm sorry?
Could you give us the rough estimates of like...
How many times you raised?
I've raised venture capital?
Yeah.
Like how many rounds I've raised before?
Yeah, I mean...
Oh boy. I've been building startups for about 13, 14 years. So maybe probably done 7 or 8 rounds.
Okay, that's quite it.
And now for this company, did you fundraise or bootstrap it?
We bootstrapped this one. Yeah, so I own all the capital.
I like this line. I like this line.
Can I ask, like, how did you guys build that? Like, what tools did you use to pull that together?
Well, obviously, so me and Alan are both So basically, the tech framework, if we check this on built with, I don't think there's any alpha in that. So I can tell you plainly that it was basically Next.js for Cell, Postgres, AWS and the cloud provider, integrations to various third-party tools related to recruitment, and then integrations to a couple different AI models.
Like, because like if we're just just to follow on from this conversation here about anyone being able to jump on and build something like that. Like you've obviously done that with code and specialized skill sets. But like how to build something like that without the skill sets that you had.
Yeah.
With just what's available, vibe coding, and automations. What's available there. Like, do you think that's possible?
What we built would have been hard to build vibe coding for sure.
But we still had a lot
But I mean,
of
even
AI
like
coding.
with the back ends and things that you build, the workflows, because like the vibe coding stuff is really just the front of it, right?
I mean, again, we're vibe coding all the time, right? Because we're using Cursor all the time to try and solve problems and what we're doing. And we're like, well, before we tried solving this by hand, let's see what the models do. Unfortunately, if you have a pretty involved tech stack and the problems you're solving are deep, sometimes that doesn't get you as far as you'd like.
But if you start building something like that, like an MVP, on something like NAN or whatever, just to test the idea and build it out. Not, with Lovable. Then you got to kind of move it on to the next level of complexity, right? You got to probably start pulling in people that have got coding skills.
I made
Generally
demos
speaking,
like within a day or two that would then like be used to sign multi-million-dollar contracts.
Like a prototype like that?
Yeah, but like from the prototype, from a demo to the actual product, there's like a long way.
I mean, frankly, you could would it be possible to build what we built using no-code tools? Probably not. Probably not in May 2025. But again, I'll return to the point I made earlier, which was that if we all have access to Lovable, right? If you used Lovable to continue polishing and refining something for a year that you were obsessed with, and it was a single point problem, even though everyone already has access to it, you probably would have, like, through that iteration, built something that would be very hard to replicate easily.
Yeah, I got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And also, just to say, like, the usual way this works is that you would have a CEO and someone who's a CTO. So you guys obviously are both code, but you would bring on someone who's technically minded and have someone who's like the visionary, and then somebody who is sort of in the weeds in the details, and you'd probably go on a 50-50 split. That's usually the way things tend to.
That's a common configuration. That's right.
So one last question. You guys, I mean, you both work for corporate and then decided to launch your own venture. And I really want to, because what's the big difference there when you're working for a corporate and when you decided to launch your own venture?
What's the difference?
What's the biggest difference? Yeah.
Everything. I think. Well, I'll put it this way. You have to ask yourself: am I the kind of person that would enjoy working on something for 10 or 12 hours a day? That's really hard. That's mine. Or would I prefer to work 6 hours a day coasting and collect a good paycheck for it? I personally would almost rather work hard for 9 hours a day on something I thought mattered and get paid exactly the same than work like 4 hours a day on something I thought I was just wasting my time, even if I was getting paid the exact same amount. So with leaving corporate and doing your own thing, I think the biggest challenge for most people is to be frank, entrepreneurship is an enormous mountain to climb in terms of self-discipline. So like if you think of like how fit am I, and you think like, okay, running an Ironman is like way up here. Well, it's very hard to, like, running a serious tech startup is like doing an Ironman in self-discipline. So it just takes a lot of self-organization skills and being really truthful with yourself about whether or not you're ready for that yet. And there's ways you can ease into it. I mean, to be frank, almost every startup in its early phases feels like a garage band. But then it gets progressively more serious as you add more people and more funding and more investors and more people to be accountable to. The last thing I'll say is that a lot of people get into entrepreneurship because they're attracted by the idea of freedom. And that ends up being a bit of a myth. And the reason why is because let's say that you are in a corporate job where you can coast, like I was saying before. Well, if you don't show up to work or whatever, or if you show up to work and you're just not in a good mood that day, sky's not going to fall, right? Well, when you're building your own company and you start getting some momentum, and you have employees, and you have shareholders and board members and investors and stuff like that, you actually end up with far more bosses that you're far more accountable to, that you must respond to their WhatsApp or their email. It's like not optional. Whereas like that Slack message from your colleague, you can leave that to tomorrow, right? And it's not that way when you build a serious company.
Thank you, Billy, so much. And let's have a round of applause. What an amazing achievement. So good to see you back.
And this guy too.
Yeah. But thank you, thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. And yeah, we'll bring this meeting to a close. There is a WhatsApp group if you would like to join. Moderating it a little bit more, thank you. And thank you everyone who is still, joining us online as well. Yeah, do you want to, I'll get the screenshot up for you, yeah. Where were we? There you go.
I have a question for you.
Sure, yeah.
I think that you are doing something that or I can help you,
or
you can help me.
Okay.
Because you said that you are using your GPT or whatever to develop your training program.
Do you want to just get my WhatsApp and send me a WhatsApp? Is that okay? Yeah. I'm just so tired, you know. Yeah. It's not the best time to chat, I think.
Probably. I'm with the Australian type schedule.
Give it a minute and then you should be able to scan it.
Maybe it's in the group?
Yeah, it's in the group, so feel free to join the group and then find me, I'm the admin in the group, so yeah.
So this is every Tuesday?
It is, yeah. Oh, no worries, bro. Yeah.
For a second I felt like I was back in the States, like I was like, whoa, like I had that.
It's really cool, right? We've brought Silicon Valley to Bali. Yeah, I love it, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the fact that there's so many different intelligent people.
They really are, yeah. We've got so many intelligent